Hey guys, this is Nick with DZ Performance. I'm continuing the sale of some of my big block Chevy test motors. These are motors that were just assembled for the purpose of testing cylinder heads, camshafts, carburetor spacers. I'm working on designing my own line of camshafts and custom made carburetor spacers, and that's what some of my big block Chevys here, what I use them for. And this particular motor only has 20 minutes of run time to break it in, and I'm not sure exactly how many, but somewhere around 10 dyno pulls. So the motor's just barely broke in and loosened up. Before I get started telling you about this motor, this is not the 496 that I took down to Oklahoma and did the test session with Eric Weingardner of Weingardner Racing, the very talented cylinder head porter out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. This is not the 496. But by the way, his book, which I'm not making any money on his book at all, I just went down there to help him and had fun with the project of testing. And I think I may have misquoted it in the past videos, but I think we tested 6 sets of cylinder heads, 7 different intakes, but we had probably 14 intake changes. So it was 3 days of exciting, really fun, hard work on a 496. That was not this 496. That was a different one that I own. This one I have for sale. It is I'll give you some history of the parts, as I know them. The cylinder block was out of a approximately 91 Chevy 454 SS truck. It was a very clean, low mile 454 block, but I bored it to 60 over. So it's a 4.31 bore. And I put a Scat rotating assembly in it with icon pistons. Scat 9000 crank. It's a 4.25 stroke, 9000 series crank. The rods were Scat I-beam forged rods. The pistons are forged icons. They have an 18cc dome on them. And I'll post all the part descriptions in the on the video. But anyway, the cylinder heads are 088 rectangle ports. They came off of a super low mile, like 500 mile crate motor that had just been drove around the block basically, and the customer had taken the heads off and put aluminum heads on, and so that's where I got the 088 heads. The 088 heads just basically, they were lapped in the valves for perfect sealing and pocket ported. There was no gasket match because the rectangle ports are just so big that there's no problem there. The intake is totally unported. It's untouched. At the gasket to cylinder head match, the air gap Victor Jr. that is on this motor, it's just a little smaller than the cylinder head, so it works out just fine. The cam that I used in it is a Comp Cams Extreme Energy, and the numbers on it I'm going to show you. It is a 248 on the intake and a 254 on the exhaust at 50 thousandths. The valve lift on the intake is 559, on the exhaust is 580. That's on a 112 center line. So, and I installed the cam, it came in at 111, so that's where I left it. So anyway, the motor on the dyno, which that's the whole reason I did this project, is I wanted to know what kind of horsepower these heads would put out. And it got 605 horsepower and 585 foot-pounds of torque, which is a pretty nice street motor. The compression, the heads have not been milled at all. The block was square decked, and the pistons are setting 7/1000 of an inch in the hole. So the compression came out at about 10.5, which I know if you spend a little money on some aftermarket heads, this motor would jump quite a bit, but it makes a nice combination for what it is. The valve springs are Comp Cams 933s. The rockers are Scorpion 1.8s. They're 1.8, so that increases the lift and duration by just a tiny bit. The oil pan on it is just a Summit Racing kick-out style oil pan. This motor, I'll post a complete description at the end of the video or in the description, and I'll put a price on it. If anybody's interested in it, just send me something in the comments on how to get a hold of you, and I'll return as many calls as I can. But thanks for watching my videos. This is Nick. See ya.